Hello, Keith Gillespie with the 47th District in York County, broadcasting today from the Pennsylvania State Farm Show. So fortunate to be with Secretary Russell Redding of the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture. Secretary Redding, thank you so much for having us in today.
Great to see you. Welcome to the 100 Farm Show. Good
100.
To see you.
So
100.
why is that such a milestone? I mean, obviously 100 years is a milestone, but what are we doing to showcase that milestone this year?
Yeah, so you're going to see a couple of things this year at the show. One is we were challenged by how do you compress 100 years of agriculture at the show. So you'll see some history boards around the complex that show, agriculture over 100 years, some of the key developments like electrification and refrigeration, things that today we say, really? I mean, that's only been the last 100 years. You'll see that. We're in an area right here that we call the farm to shelf. There's a bit of a mystery, I think, at the consumer level about how food actually is grown, processed, distributed. It gets onto a shelf and ultimately onto their plate. This area takes 4 commodities, potatoes, dairy, pork, and apples, and shows that process. And so we think that's really a nice way to make the connection between production and consumption, which is what the industry is about, of course, but really about this farm show as well.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, let's take it. A lot of people think that when they go to the grocery store, it's put together or grown in the back room. It comes out in this cellophane box or container, and there you go.
Yeah, I think your green beans are in aisle 5. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the extent of thinking.
Exactly.
We're trying to sort of broaden that a little bit and say, here's what it is, here's who does it, and this is what happens in between production and the shelf.
Okay, so for anybody that might be coming out here to see the show, there's various signboards and so forth.
There's signboards. You want to look for the farm to shelf display. That'll bring you right to where we are, and you'll see that.
Okay. We're just actually not too far from the food court. I understand this year one of the big favorites here is the milkshake, and they have a new flavor milkshake to commemorate the 100th year.
They do. The farm show, just by organization, has a lot of different commodity groups that work all year long to prepare for the farm show. And the Dairymen Association are really contemplating what do they want to do to celebrate, to change it up. They haven't added a new flavor of milkshake in 60 years. So this is a special moment, right?
Oh, yeah.
To commemorate the 100, but it's been 60 years of chocolate, vanilla, and some variation of that. So a big deal. So we're excited to have them. It's a strawberry and cream milkshake, so if you like strawberries and that heavy cream, go for that one.
Okay. Have you tried one?
I've tried several, yes. But I come back to chocolate. That's sort of it's my comfort food here. Brings back memories just with a good cold chocolate shake.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, all good.
And for those that can't decide, they still probably have the mix between the chocolate and the vanilla,
By all
right?
3.
Yeah, good deal. Your department has the responsibility of monitoring harmful pests and diseases in order to protect our agricultural products and our food supply. Can you tell us how you monitor these threats and work with farmers and food manufacturers to combat them?
Yeah, it's a great question, and a reminder here at the Farm Show just of one, the responsibilities of the Department of Ag for public health and safety, and we don't often talk about that, right? Because it's not something you sort of start a conversation with, but you sure want to make certain that it's happening. Department of Ag does that. We do that in partnership with a lot of local governments, U.S. Department of Agriculture for certain commodities. Every retail food establishment has to be inspected annually here in Pennsylvania. Temporary establishments like our food court here at the farm show, like our cafeteria at the farm show, all has to be inspected to make sure it meets the health code here in Pennsylvania. And that's just a piece of it. Then you have animal health, a big part of the Department of Agriculture, reminded of that with the high path avian influenza scare and continued planning around that. Any number of invasive pests. This year we've had the spotted lanternfly, first time in North America, found in sort of the Berks County area, and we thought we could contain it there, but it's spread to some other surrounding areas. But it's just that reminder that we take a lot for granted that food is safe, it's available, but it takes a pretty good force of people with good partnerships, at the producer level,
right,
as well as our local and federal government to make that possible.
If you can, how many staff do you have dedicated to just that disease prevention program with the PDA?
Yeah, so in the Bureau of Plant Industry, in that particular piece, there's about 15 people. Yeah. Now some of those are seasonal, right, because of the spotted lanternfly,
sure,
and the field surveillance. Then you have a lot of diagnostic work that's done with it as well. But folks committed, through food safety, plant health, and animal health, you have several hundred people. That's our frontline force every day, protect the food system in Pennsylvania.
Of course, I imagine you're working with the folks at Penn, New Bolton Center. I know they do various surveillance programs there as well. There's probably an interface.
They do, yeah. We have something unique in Pennsylvania called the Animal Health Commission in PA. Came out actually of the 1980s high path AI problem we had, and the industry and the legislature at that time said, we ought to have a system, and we ought to have people sort of around the table on a regular basis, not just in a moment of crisis. And out of that came a commission, out of that came the Animal Health and Diagnostic System, which links Penn, University of Pennsylvania Vet School at New Bolton Center.
Right.
Links Penn State University and the College of Agricultural Sciences, as well as our lab here in Harrisburg. So it's a tripartite arrangement, the only one of its kind in the nation. Very unique.
Yeah. Still, Pennsylvania's number one industry is agriculture, right?
It is agriculture, and it'll continue to be. I think if we can keep working at it, get the right policies, make sure that our environmental stewardship, you and I spent a lot of time talking about Chesapeake Bay and what that looks like. That's a piece that we really have to continue to focus on, and we'll do that. But it takes a whole sort of confluence of things to make agriculture and keep agriculture vibrant.
We were talking before we went on here about our earliest memories here with the farm show. You obviously showed your cattle here from your experience at Dairy Farm. I got cut out at the at the county level, the local level with my baby beef.
Yeah.
But what are some of your fondest memories, if you're maybe just one or two of your experiences here? I know you associate the milkshakes and the smells and so forth with just some fond memories, but maybe you could share one or two.
Well, it's interesting. So this is the 20th anniversary of the blizzard of 1996.
Okay.
Right, so we would not be here 20 years ago because folks in a state of emergency in Pennsylvania, you remember the blizzard, and so that was my introduction to the farm show in that year. So that's one. The other is, as I reflected on the 100 years, the piece that I've really come to appreciate is my kids' involvement in 4-H here. They've all had exhibits through their 4-H years. They've since sort of graduated out. But they had, their woodworking projects here, their baking projects. They did rocketry one year. They every year had a project. It was always so proud to see your kids sort of step in, 8, 9, 10 years old, compete, be very competitive, accept, the results of whatever that judge provided, right?
Yep.
It may have been a blue ribbon once in a while, most times an honorable mention. That's a really good memory, great memory. Yeah.
Well, Secretary Redding, I want to thank you for the opportunity to spend a few minutes with you. You gave us a little overview of what's taking place here. We wish you much success here the rest of the show, and thank you once again.
You. Thanks for all your good work. Pleasure serving with you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.